All right. So an attorney reached out and contacted us and provided us an order, which is a sanctions order against a trial attorney, a plaintiff's lawyer, and said, "Hey, you put on this CLE talking about bias and marginalization, and you know, I please look at this, and if you can, talk about it." And so we decided to talk about it. And one of the things is we're not going to identify the attorney.
No.
We're not interested in shaming anyone or, just piling on.
Well,
but I want to talk
wait,
about.
wait. I might be interested in shaming people or piling it on.
But you're not going to.
But I'm not going
Yeah,
to.
yeah. But what I want to do is I want to talk about behavior, and then I want to try to understand it. So one of the things is that.
Well, wait a minute. So, sanctions order. Let's talk about how that even happens.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
So in this case, the city attorneys went to the court and filed with. I've never seen such a thing. An omnibus motion for sanctions order.
What does that mean?
An omnibus is like far-reaching and wide.
Okay.
It's just like a whole lot
It's
of
like
different
multiple issues.
So it can cover a lot of stuff at the
Cover
same time.
lots
not
of
one
issues.
issue. It's multiple issues.
Okay.
And we're
Yeah.
going to talk about one, maybe two, kind of, because they go hand in hand, professionalism and the bias issue.
Yeah.
But we're not going to talk about a lot of the other ticky-tacky issues.
Yeah.
But the court did. The court went through all of them and granted some of them, denied some of them. The ones that we're going to talk about were granted. And I just want to say one more thing. We're plaintiff lawyers, so we don't want to see a sanctions order about bias against a plaintiff attorney. We don't want to see that. Now, again, I have received a sanction order. I've been practicing for 40 years, and I called a police officer a liar, and took steps to ask the judge to prosecute that, which did not go down well. The judge didn't like it, and it was upheld that I shouldn't have done that. So I'm not going after this person to say, wow, you got a sanctions order, terrible, and we're better than you. I've gotten a sanctions order. The difference is the topic here, which is near and dear to our heart, which is our profession, and why in the year 2025, going on 2026, not enough strides have been made on the issue of, and specifically here, gender bias. Gender bias in the profession. Why are we even talking about it in 2025? And our hypothesis is one of the reasons we're still talking about it is because it's multi-directional. It's not just the defense lawyers or the judges or the public. It's us also, the plaintiff lawyer, which is so sad.
Yeah.
I almost don't want to talk about it because, right? We are better than that. We are the ones that are supposed to be upholding
Yeah, like justice and
fairness and
inclusion,
equality and fighting for and against biased behavior, prejudice. Like, we should be the icons of that. So to talk about this, I don't want to say it's self-defeating, but it's bringing a lens to our profession that Mo and I resent. We don't want to have to do this.
Yeah.
So why are we doing it?
Well, I think we're doing it because I think it's important to talk about this and learn from it. I really do. Because,
How are we going to learn from it?
Because
I mean,
I'm going to tell you right now. We got to identify what happened and talk about it. Because some of the behavior I have engaged in, but not like this. Some of the behavior I have not. And I just want to. I think that one, we don't know like the totality of what happened, but I want to point out where I think that there's clear problems. So I'm going to just read it, but kind of, anonymize. Okay? The defense produced credible evidence showing that in meetings, its lead counsel had with plaintiff's counsel throughout this case. Plaintiff's counsel commented on her lack of experience compared to his defense lawyer's competency as a lawyer, defense lawyer's lack of empathy because she does not have children, and his conduct toward her during a contested deposition. Defense promptly memorialized one such encounter following a meet and confer. Defense lawyer wrote that plaintiff's behavior was appalling and that he put forward a barrage of insults against her and her team, criticizing their ethics, competence, and empathy. Plaintiff's lawyer asked defense lawyer if she had children, telling her that she was the worst attorney he'd ever seen in over 20 years. Co-counsel for the defense was present. Co-counsel wrote under penalty of perjury that plaintiff's counsel requested the case be assigned to more qualified attorneys, and he suggested that the defense lacked empathy because she was not a mother. At the October deposition of a witness, a critical witness for plaintiff's case and one who plaintiff's counsel had placed their cognitive and memory at issue, plaintiff's counsel conduct was extraordinary for its rudeness and hostility towards the defense. His objections were mostly frivolous, repetitive, obstructionist, and had the effect of coaching the witness to provide favorable answers for plaintiff. This conduct will be addressed below. Plaintiff's counsel objected approximately 180 times during this deposition. He repeatedly accused the defense of badgering and harassing the witness. The reflexive conduct was particularly noteworthy when the defense asked the witness if he wanted a break, and counsel accused her of harassing him. And as he has done throughout the pleadings in this case, plaintiff's counsel threatened the defense counsel with legal sanctions, criminal sanctions, and took the extraordinary step of accusing the defense of causing the witness to have a seizure. Plaintiff's counsel, in another contested deposition with a male counterpart as opposing counsel, was markedly different. He had very few objections, no more than 5, and his conduct and demeanor was professional and courteous. In his defense, plaintiff's counsel contends that the defense lawyer's sworn declarations should be disregarded by this court because they are self-serving and offer to further the city's litigation position. This is an unpersuasive defense, particularly in light of sworn statements, the deposition transcripts, the thorough memorialization of the meet and confer, and plaintiff's counsel's numerous requests for and threats of sanctions by him in this case.
Okay, we're not going to talk about every single thing here because there's so much of it.
Yeah.
And I want to focus on the reason why we were given it, which was to look at the gender issues.
Yes.
But there are some other issues tied in there that are not, I have to admit, that are not gender issues. And I absolutely have, on at least 3 occasions in the last 15 years, told a defense lawyer that, a partner in a firm, that their associate needed more mentoring instruction and that they should not be left alone because they were so terrible.
Okay. Now,
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
And that's female or male.
That's a lot different from what this person did.
True, but I want to just tell you, I have done that. I have been rude. I have been rude, and I am rude when people are abusive to the client, when they are disrespectful of time, when they are unprofessional. I can be rude, and I can just be rude because I woke up like Mo, a Hamoudi, but I'm not generally rude. Yeah. But it is true that happens. For a senior lawyer like me to be, it happened last year. Afterwards, I was talking to one of the city lawyers. Now, I did not do this during the depositions. After the case had resolved, and maybe it wasn't even city, I said, "Why? Oh, it wasn't. It was court. It was on one of our Amazon cases." I said, "Why did you have lawyers in there that? What did you do? Did you basically just pull brand new lawyers in there to waste my time?" Okay. And he said, yes.
Of course he did.
They were. He said yes. They took. There were 30 or some depositions, all these lay witness depositions, and they were taking like 2-3 hours on a deposition that should have taken 20 minutes. and they were terribly done. Terribly done. And the partner told me, yes. He said, we were just grabbing them. We were grabbing these lawyers to cover these depositions.
So they were making it seem like there were too many, so they were scraping the bottom of their barrel.
Well, and they apparently didn't. They were harassing us.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like
Yes.
That to me feels like they're trying to make you have to work longer. They're trying to make it harder for you to get stuff done.
Well, it's an hourly billed case.
Well,
they're going to get paid millions, but all these hours.
And our client has to pay more for it.
They have all these new attorneys that have never worked on the case that are now having to review the file and prepare for the deposition, and then take the deposition. And there was like 3 or 4. There were people that we had never ever met before, and this is like a month before trial, taking these depositions. So I wanted to say, like, this behavior of going and saying there's an attorney in here that should not be in here is not a novel thing. No, it's not common, but it's not. And I mean, I'm in trial getting ready to go into trial right now with the firm where that same thing has happened. In fact, I question the partners sometimes whether they're actually competent at times. So that is not in and itself the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is, my opinion, I think where this thing goes stray is the part where the comments start to focus on things totally out of the control of the skill set of the lawyer. Like, we come in with skill sets, and when you attack somebody's immutable qualities, like that they're female, that they don't understand as a mother what the harm means.
As a person,
as a
instead
person,
of a mother.
right?
Yeah.
To me, what that does is that, and I say this because I haven't done it to that extent, but I'll give you an example where I've done this. You put the person in such an awkward position and terrible position where they feel like they don't have one agency over their profession in that context, and then they start to look at themselves and think, I'm not good enough and I don't have control over what you're pointing out. It's a horrible way to gain an advantage over somebody in a professional setting. Let's set aside the fact that it's just discriminatory, but like, to do that, what you're doing is, like, I think the most terrible bullying strategy of a lawyer in a case. Where I screwed up.
Well, can I stop you for 1 second?
Yeah.
Do you think that people are doing it because they actually believe what they're saying, or do you think that they're just trying to knock the other attorney off their game in that way?
For men, I think it's a lot of it is like this idea, like, oh, I'm a man and I'm doing the case and I'm a tough guy and I'm a strong lawyer. It's like you get into this mindset, right?
So they're just getting aggressive and sort of dominating the situation.
And then they lose control of their impulses, right? And then they're in the, there are other men who are just outright, rude, or just cruel people, right? Yeah. And so I've seen a combination of both, and so.
Let me just pause you here.
Yeah.
So I don't think that you can rationalize this behavior, and I don't care what his thought process was. I mean, you can try, and you can do it, and you should continue to do it, because maybe people can learn. What I see here, and what I see in general, what we just talked about at our CLE last week, the person telling me after a really tough deposition, now I know why your husband's divorcing you during the divorce.
Yeah.
It is a unique power move of a male against a female.
Yeah.
It is misogynistic.
Yes.
It is ill-intended. It is sexist.
Okay.
I'm better than you. I'm going to squish you no matter what. You don't know, you are nothing to me. I don't care about your feelings. You shouldn't be here. I'm the one that's the real lawyer. I don't know what you are, but you don't belong in a man's world, chick.
I think it's even worse than that. I think when you say someone can't know what it's like to have children, that they're like that anyone that has children, that you are lower than everyone else at that point, in his opinion. And that's, for me, that's like beyond
But
unacceptable.
Mike, who
in a
would ever say
professional-
that to a man without children?
No one would.
No one would.
No.
No,
It's
but
a
I'm saying that
female without children.
that it's even worse than what you're saying. That he's literally making that a female without children is lower than everyone else and cannot in any way understand what they say.
Have empathy. You do not
Yeah.
have empathy. But it's again,
Which I totally disagree
Here's the misogyny also is, and it's particularly you do not hear that said to a man.
No.
You hear it said to a woman. Why? Because what is a woman? Okay, cavemen here.
Yeah.
What is
Well,
a
they're
woman's
weaker.
function? The function is to bear children.
Oh, yeah,
You
that's
have
it,
not
yeah.
had children. You are not a true woman. You have not been impregnated by the seed
haven't done your
of
purpose.
a Neanderthal man,
Yeah,
and you don't know anything.
Yeah.
It's very bad.
Which is horrible.
This is why I'm saying it's not like just a thought process. This is a very deeply seated, misogynistic
Oh yeah.
viewpoint of someone saying to
You got to have some hatred to say something
female
like that.
to a man to a female to say that, yes. And secondly, I do agree with you, Mike. Just from anybody saying that to anybody that does not have children, that is wounding and thoughtless and terrible, right? Terrible. But here it's weaponized even further. This is said during a legal proceeding, a deposition, or some kind of interaction between these lawyers. It's said within a professional construct by one to dominate and humiliate another on the basis of gender.
Yep.
That is you've never done anything like that.
I've not done that, but I want to tell you the example of what
No,
happened.
I want this to land here. You have not done that.
No, I have not done that. I have never done that. I've never done that. But what I want to see is that if this person could just acknowledge that rather than if it happened and then he immediately was told because
Okay, but
wait.
But Moa, I want you not to try to help this person get out of it yet.
I don't want to get. I don't have any power over the person getting. But what
I
I'm
just
saying
want
is
to have
that
a minute and talk about how bad this is.
Okay.
As a female,
We can do
I
that.
would like to have this whole thing. Like, I want to spend some time here without the men in the room, maybe men, wanting to escape out the door and talk about something else. I want it to land and to talk about this because you haven't.
okay, I cede.
I want you to compare to me so from a female standpoint.
Okay.
First of all, if a male did that to me in a professional context,
Would you just tear him apart?
it would be me and John Henry Brown all over again.
Exactly.
It's like that is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I will talk about their penis. I will go right there. I have no shame about it. My dad, was a sperm doctor. I've known about those critters, as you know, since I was like 3 years old. I will
Critters?
go there. And I will go there hard. I
Okay.
will attack.
Okay.
I will go back. I will be terrible.
Okay.
Okay?
All
Which
right.
I shouldn't do, but I would.
No, what you shouldn't do, but sometimes, what can you do?
But I want to talk about this. So from my standpoint, I have told you, like, this is absolutely outrageous and wrong. And frankly, I think the judge should give him a bigger penalty for that one. They just made him go to courses. Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Do you know if
As
that
a
was their
man.
first offense of this type? First sanction?
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Okay.
From your standpoint,
Yes,
to help the males here understand how
I can do that.
how bad this is. And I want to use a male minority perspective because I think that's about as close as you can get
Yeah.
to ingrained mentality that would allow anyone to say something like this. Right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we're better than anybody. Like,
Yeah.
everybody can make a slip. But this was said multiple times in the course of a professional proceeding.
Yeah.
Well, with additional accusations too, I would say.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
there was so much that it's hard.
It was
for
Omnibus.
It's hard for me just to pay attention to this one thing.
Yeah. And that's why I want to just pay
No, I
attention to it.
understand,
We
yeah.
can go forward after this.
Yeah.
I want to know, like, I want that How can a male truly understand what this city attorney went through to be subject to that, and what they went through in that room, and how that's going to affect that person? Thankfully, her team rallied around her and brought this motion and championed her, and she had a support system. But what if she had been a solo practitioner? What is the closest that you can come, and you too, Mike, to imagining that in a professional context?
It is hard for me to empathize with what she's experienced because I'm not a woman. The closest thing that I can think of is honestly, I've never been treated this way.
Mike?
So I've never been treated this way in a professional setting.
I mean, to be honest, I've been treated bad in a professional setting because doctors or lawyers think that, employees of a law firm aren't as important as lawyers are. But that's not even close to what you're talking about. And I mean, I'd have to go back to like high school when I was getting teased to get to anything that made me feel anywhere close to what I would think of what a person in a professional setting getting told something like that would feel.
I've had it happen to me in private.
Right? I know what I would do if I was in the room. I mean, because I've been around when you got heated with other attorneys.
Yes.
And I wasn't there. But if I was in the room when something like that happened, I would have stood up and said something to the person. And it probably wouldn't be professional. I would have been, because I'm not that professional, and I would have been horrible to them.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that I'm any better than that person. No. I'm just playing the male tough guy role at that point. So really what I would hope that I would do would be immediately writing a letter to the board, to the bar, and saying what I saw and how I felt and how unprofessional I thought it was. And I would probably do whatever I could to make sure that person was punished somehow. But it's also sad to see what the punishment was when you said that, because that's unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. No matter if it was the first time it happened or the 20th time it happened. From
an emotional perspective, the closest emotional experience, not outside the professional setting, is being bullied because I couldn't speak English. It was like something completely out of my control. Like I couldn't speak English well. And like people would say things to me. There was a bullying technique of like, towel head, or make fun of me.
Yeah.
And so you feel like you have no control over what they're criticizing you because it's totally out of your control. That's the closest thing emotionally I could try to, as Mike was speaking, thinking about, and I felt humiliated. I felt alone. I felt small. I felt as though I had no power in that moment to do anything for myself. I had no ability to engage the people in my environment on an equal footing. That's the closest thing emotionally. But I have witnessed sometimes behavior like this, and I have outed it. I've said like that's, in a way in which trying to confront the person and say, this is not appropriate and you need to address it. I've done that. That's but I can't imagine like.
This is in a professional setting, not in the schoolyard, which is during your formative years and obviously traumatic and, life evolving and terrible behavior. This is two grown people, one of them more senior than the other. The antagonist is more older, and going at it. And the closest I guess I don't want to say the closest because I've already told you so many other stories about what happened. But in terms of being mean and direct versus more of a subterfuge kind of, campaign of insults, was John Henry and myself. And it was primarily an email or in-person wage campaign. Sometimes it was during a break or something like that. In trial, it happened. He had, ways of attacking me, but his comments ranged from him telling me that I needed plastic surgery, to I was going to, die alone without any friends like Margaret Thatcher, to my life was pathetic because I was on social media and obviously I did not know how to live. It was very, hateful.
Personal.
And of course, did I lie over and roll over like a puppy? No. And he accused me. He accused me of engaging in bad conduct because I thought, well, he must have, he's obviously done this before. And he's a criminal defense lawyer. So that means he's done it to prosecutors. That means that, and most prosecutors, they represent the government, so they cannot get back at him. But you know what? I have no boss. And so initially, I went right at him over his vanity. And, he's like 20 years older than me. So I might have done that. Yes, I did. And he started boo-hooing like right away. Like, how dare you?
Of course, because that's how all bullies react.
This was one-sided from what I can tell.
Yeah.
I don't see that she had any kind of a comeback, and you don't have to have a comeback because you're trying to represent the city. It's kind of similar situation. Like, you have a job to do, you're represent, and hear this happen. So thank you for spending a little bit of time to imagine what that felt with, to have that kind of a campaign waged against you personally as a female attorney who already understands that they are working in a,
hostile environment.
Yeah. It's not a fair, it's not unbiased.
No.
And especially trial lawyers, I've told you that before. There are areas of the law that are quite integrated.
Yeah.
But trial lawyers aren't.
Yeah.
Because that one personality, people still think that that's a good thing. That, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that guy's actions are
aggressive,
acceptable.
Jerk kind of behavior, that is powerful. When that is not powerful in reality, because a trial lawyer's job is to persuade, not to pound.
I want to talk a little bit about the fact that both you and I got individual emails from a lot of female attorneys about experiencing this all the time, not just lawyers, judges, courtrooms, clerks.
Yeah.
They're treated this way. And the interesting thing was, and I don't want to assume anything, that rather than share that information more broadly, kind of shared it privately, individually. What is a real solution to, as a collective profession, to try to assist some of these women not to feel this way, not to feel so isolated in what they're experiencing, and only to have you calling it out more broadly, have them feel empowered to say, this happened to me. Mm-hmm. And I there's like a loneliness in that.
Well, it's no accident that this order, we didn't go looking for this order. I didn't know this order. And I'm on, different groups of lawyer lists, but I don't participate. So I didn't know that this was a buzz. I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know what was going on. Why would it come to us? And the answer is, just like you said, when you are a person, especially younger in your career, newer in your career, but even, not so new in your career, who happens to be in the minority, in this case, the females, and you're doing everything you can to assimilate.
Yeah, that's right.
As we've talked about.
That's right.
To not call attention to your femaleness, to just be one of the guys, one of the people, and you are on the receiving end of a misogynistic rant or sexist behavior. What is the first thing that you do? You internalize it by nature, because it comes out of nowhere. In the professional context, it's not supposed to be there.
Can you talk about the process of internalizing something?
Because in the professional, in certain scenarios, you expect it.
Yeah.
In a professional context, in 2025, you don't think it should be there. So you're not prepared for it. You're not thinking about it. You're You're just thinking, hey, I'm an attorney, not I'm a female attorney. You're just thinking I'm an attorney.
Yeah.
And you're an attorney, and that's a witness, and that's a deponent, or that's a judge. You're just thinking in terms of roles. And so when it comes out at you like that, you're yanked out of your, assumption that you're in a professional environment. You're yanked back into the world and are realizing that you're dealing with a person that has an extreme bias against you.
I want you still, if you can, describe how that process of internalization feels.
Well, that's first of all is just there's a shock, and there can be a delayed reaction.
Okay.
Because you're disoriented. Like, what?
Okay.
And how fast do people process things? Not always that fast, especially like you're there to represent a client. You're really focused on the client. So what is it, as a lawyer, you're going to have a different process. Okay, you're in a professional environment. Number one is, what? It's that delayed thing of, did that just happen? Number two is, I have a client here. Where am I?
Yeah.
Can I say something back?
Yeah.
Maybe you can't. Probably you can't at the time, because your number one job is not to protect yourself, it's to protect your client. So you have to stuff it.
Okay.
Okay? So you have to stuff it
All right.
somehow. And so for me, it's not as hard because I'm compartmentalized. Or I've been practicing long enough that I know that, I don't have to tolerate that, even if it's in a professional context, and I'm going to go at it. My processing speed is fast, but the typical person is going to be waylaid by it. Like, oh.
They're
and
in shock for a second.
Yes. And then the moment has passed, and they're like, well, now if I say anything, then we go back there, and maybe I'll deal with it later. That's a common thing. But if it's so off of being professional, how are you going to deal with it later? What are you going to do with it, right?
Well, what do you do?
So some people will just shrug it off and just forget about it. Try to forget about it. That's when you truly internalize it. And that's what happens with the micro. That's what happens with the micro attacks.
There's something, there was a choice that you described, and I want to know tell me the emotional consequences of that choice. You said stuffing it, and because you have an obligation to represent your client.
Yeah.
And so you have now, maybe you have sacrificed a part of yourself in order to advance the client's cause. And is that hard?
So I am not a good person to ask these questions to.
Why not?
Because number one, I was raised by a female chauvinist pig. Right? You guys know this about me.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
number two, if I'm going to hold on to it, it's only because I'm waiting for, so I have timing in my side. It's like, when am I going to, how's this going to be addressed? It's never for me a matter of, am I going to address it? If you say something bad to me like that, you're going to get it. How? That's my decision. So for the guy that said, gee, Karen, now I know why your husband's divorcing you, I accepted it at that moment. I was very, not just unhappy, but insulted to my core and felt horrible because I was in fact going through a divorce. Like, you couldn't have got me at a much worse, vulnerable place than the fact of, calling me a shrew, and that's why I'm getting a divorce. But then 2 weeks later, when I brought the motion to the court for discovery violations against them and listed that as one of the things that they had been doing, the judge was furious with them. So that's an example of me using it for tactical advantage. John Henry Brown, calling me all that crap. What did I do about it? I blogged about it publicly. I believe, yeah.
Oh, I remember.
I am not going to hold on to that. It's like a secret. When somebody insults you like that, to shame you, and you don't say anything, the same thing, it works like a secret in your body.
Well, and it gives them more power, too.
Yes. But it causes the shame. Remember, people intuitively, instinctively, one of the biggest drivers of people is personal shame. People will protect the secret. People change their behavior because of trying to navigate shame. So when someone tries to shame you like that, which that exactly the comment that we're talking about, that was meant to shame and humiliate. There was no other reason to say that. Shame and humiliate. When you internalize that and just let it be in you and do not do anything with it, all it does is it creates more.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that it needs to be addressed somehow at some time, either.
Okay, you described two
Bluntly or not.
techniques of addressing with
Yes.
it. One was you brought it to the court's attention.
Yes.
The second one, you used your platform as a trial lawyer to speak about it openly, blogging.
Oh, there's a third.
And what's the third?
Direct engagement.
Direct engagement. All right. Say you are a younger female lawyer and you don't have the career accolades that
Mo,
what
I
do you
have
do?
always, I'm telling you, I was raised, this is why I'm not a good person.
Yeah,
I
but
was
you're
raised-
but you're wise enough. You have 3 daughters who are not.
You asked when I was a
necessarily-
younger person,
Okay.
when I was a new person. I've always been like this, which is one reason why some people don't like me.
Okay.
I am going to, now there's some things that I haven't directly, which bother me. There was a bailiff that kept coming on to me, like all the time in the courthouse. And I was never sure quite how to navigate that.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that judge was the judge of my client. And then that case ended and a year or so came in, and the same thing happened again.
Yeah.
Now, after the case ended, I thought, well, I should report this.
Yeah.
I should report this to the judge. However, the bailiff was black. And I did not want to destroy or impact his career. And he was good at what he did. He just was inappropriate. If he was inappropriate with me, that meant he was inappropriate with other females. Like, this is not.
Why do you
this
think
is not
that's
a good
destroying his career? Because in my opinion,
sexual
he's
harassment.
destroying his career, and you have the
not saying it
responsibility
was
to do
right.
something about it.
I'm not saying it was right.
Yeah. I understand why you did it. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
that I disagree
I
with
do
what
it?
you did
Yeah.
because I'm not in your position.
Right.
But I also feel that like he was being unprofessional, and
Yeah.
without saying something about it, it's going to continue forever.
I mean, and when you say hitting on you, like, what does that mean? Like, what it means is looking you up and down, telling you how fine you are, oh, I really like how that, that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
So-
it's tough because some people would say, "Oh, that's not really that's innocent or whatever." But once again, I'll say, professional environment, you don't do that. I mean, I don't walk around commenting people about how they look or anything like that in the office. That's not how you work.
Correct. Catching
What-
you in the hall, walking with you. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that this is just a big topic.
Yeah. No,
Right.
I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I can say, I've commented on somebody's shoes or a cool piece of clothing or something like that, but that's totally different than what you're talking about. The one thing that I was going to say about this is I feel like it's almost like if you had classes for younger attorneys that were verbal self-defense is the best way that I could say it. So that they could, it's like stand-up comedians. They train to deal with hecklers. They train to deal with a situation where somebody hits them like this with a shocking statement that's directed towards them to stop them for what they're doing. That's exactly what that guy did to her. Mm-hmm. And if you can give people a tool set to be able to deal with that.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, not being an attorney, I don't know if they do this in law school or not. But if they do, that's what they should be focusing on it more for women in those situations to teach people how to be able to react or not react.
Yeah.
It's a good suggestion, Mike. I really like it, actually. Maybe I should blog, like, here's some comebacks. But,
Well, yeah, hopefully somebody will hear this.
when I say engage, that's exactly what I mean. And that's a trial lawyer thing, too, that is from the real world. There's many trial lawyers that I know that cannot engage. That's
Yeah.
why they write out scripts and they read. And no offense to them in practice, but my skill set as a trial lawyer is engagement. So I am not going to have a problem. If you're going to insult me, you better get ready because it's going to come right back at you. But that's not how most people are. And I also have, right? I make fun of it, but I have good self-esteem.
Yeah. Which is a big part of it, because if it's somebody who didn't, that type of situation can be crushing. And if you,
even worse.
For someone like me, I would then obsess about it.
Correct.
Over and over and over. And it's, pushing it down, stuffing it in, but then it just sits there and cycles like a dryer over and over and over. I can't ever forget about it.
Well, and what another part that people can't forget about is that they didn't say something bad.
Yes.
That
That's
I
my
hear all
thing,
the time.
running that whole thing in
I don't
that
have
scenario.
that. I really don't have that. Hardly ever where I think, oh man, I should have had a comeback, because I'm going to have a comeback. But it would be good for people to have, like, these are the 5 things that, here's 5 quick things.
Here's 5 things to remember to say if you're in that situation.
I can tell
something of that sort.
I can tell them to you. They're not rocket science.
No.
The
But
first
like
thing
you
that
said,
you say,
there's the shock, and that's what throws everybody off.
that is. But no matter what people say, there's always one thing that you can say when anybody says anything that's offline, which is, you're out of order.
Exactly.
That needs to stop.
Yeah.
You don't have to even go into the merits. That's like the first thing you just say is, you are out of order. You better stop. Yeah. Or you can also say, that was inappropriate. We are now taking a break.
I would say those 2 things.
You need to take control of the situation. You cannot let that person continue on and not address it. It has to stop. And so you've seen me and heard me and sometimes I really had to yell and throw a fit. But I stopped it.
Yes.
Because it wasn't going to stop until and I exited and moved my client out. But you got to stop it. That's number 1.
Well, and for me, like, saying that, engaging in that way, then shocks them. Then hopefully throws them off a little bit. And then you can move out, like you said. Then you can leave so they can't say anything else. And then you take it to the bar, or you take it to the judge, or whatever person you're supposed to report it to, and move it on from there.
Yeah.
And do it every time. So it doesn't, like, you don't have it caught inside of you, and they aren't, like, the more that happens, the more that they're reported, the more trouble they're going to get in. And eventually that's going to cause people like that to think a little bit more about what they're saying and force them to be more professional. Or I would hope so.
I'm thinking about it, like, if I've ever felt like discriminated against, I recall an incident where it was professional, and it was a professional incident where somebody, called me incompetent in front of people, and my instinct was to just say, that really hurt. Did you intend to hurt me? And it did something that was really interesting. I'd never done it before, but it caused the person to really reflect on their intent and whether they truly intended to hurt me. And
I always say he's a better person than me. There's absolutely no way in hell I would ever
I
do
don't
that.
think I could have ever gotten there.
I don't know why I did, but because I truly, at that moment, I felt hurt.
Because I was a little more reaction.
What reaction?
I would have just been ruthless. There would be no kindness involved.
I'm just saying that the moment, the way it developed, like kind of unraveled, was that the person said to me that, no, I didn't intend to hurt you. And I said, well, it hurt. It really hurt when you said that I was incompetent, because it suggested that I had done no work, but I've been doing all of this work. I was a very young lawyer, and I've done all of these things at your direction. I've done everything you've asked me, and the sum total of that relationship now is you're calling me that, and you did it in front of people, and it hurt. And I wanted them to feel and own what they were doing to me. And it radically changed our interactions moving forward. Like, radically changed. And I don't know, like, being vulnerable in front of somebody is a big ask. Not a lot of people are willing to do it. Fine. To me, sometimes I think that, there was an opportunity here in this person's interaction with the female lawyer where a letter was written. It's clear in the letter that it was the female lawyer's attempt to say to this person, you hurt me. Didn't use the word hurt.
What was the letter? I don't remember.
They wrote a response, a correspondence, saying this behavior was inappropriate.
Yeah.
And if you can read between the lines, you just realize, like, you hurt this person. And so it's, what was really bothersome to me about this is that an older lawyer, a male lawyer, did not have the wisdom or the nuance or the insight to see that it hurt somebody. And like nobody wants to hurt people.
I disagree.
I totally disagree.
I disagree.
You think that,
I think that person meant to hurt that person and did it on purpose.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that
Thank
person
you.
at all. I'm just going off this order.
Okay.
But from what you said,
Yeah.
that was done with intent to hurt.
okay, if that's the case, I am not a psychologist. I don't know. I cannot examine a person's life, nor I like to sum up their lives to moments, because I think people are more complex. And I'm just saying that, like, the entire thing would have been different had, when he received that letter, immediately responded and said, I am sorry I hurt you. I failed, and described his own behavior. This is how I failed. The entire situation would have been different. And so where the education lies is like being a little bit more like, responsive and seeing something for what I think because we need to educate on this, Karen, because there's got to be a way to address this by the people that do this stuff.
So here's my take on it. People who weaponize their own prejudices against a class of people who they feel are not up to snuff with them. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to be educated, but they're not my concern. Our country is full of it right now with Trump having allowed people to talk to. There's so much of a voice. I liked it. We've had this conversation before. I like it better when it was suppressed because I don't want to hear how ugly people can be. But when people have these long-held beliefs that gurgle up and pop out and express themselves even in the midst of a professional interaction and intentionally. I mean, this was not a mistake. That was a conscious choice to do that. My concern is not for how they feel or how they can be rehabilitated. My concern is holding them accountable and protecting the victim. Now, should the system address it? Yes. Will this be referred to the Bar Association? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be. The judge found that there was a bar violation, but that doesn't automatically take it to the Bar Association. That, I think, has to come from the appellate level, as I recall. So here's my concern. Number one, the judge did something about it. I cannot, and this is my initial response. My mother practiced law. I work for my mother in the 70s. I've practiced law since the 80s. I have never seen a judge in writing chastise a lawyer and find them to be unprofessional for engaging in gender discrimination. I have never seen it before Judge O'Donnell wrote the sanctions order. That in and itself is shocking. I'm so glad he did it, and I don't know why it took 50 years for someone to do it like that in our jurisdiction, but it's shameful because this stuff is not new. It's been going on for forever. Yeah. I'm also grateful that the city attorneys rallied and brought this to the court's attention, but obviously it was very egregious because there was so much more than just not this. This was Omnibus. This is just one of the many other things. Would the judge have been that bold if this had only been the only issue? I don't know.
I don't think so.
And what was the penalty for this? Going to classes that you're mandated to take by the Bar Association anyway, but people are supposed to take ethics credits, not 8, obviously. It's like saying, okay, you did something terrible and you're going to go have to pick up garbage for a day. Like, that's not enough. I would have liked to have seen something more.
Okay. What about, but with any punitive sanction, whatever it is, there's got to be a path to redemption. There has to be grace. I don't want to live in a world where there's no redemption and no grace. I'm not a public defender. I'm a human being who has...
No, but it is a public defender perspective.
Look, no. I disagree. Like,
you believe in rehabilitation.
I believe in grace. I believe in redemption. I do. Not just because I was a public defender. It's because of the life I've lived since childhood.
Okay.
I believe in these things. Otherwise, I don't want to live in a world that doesn't have redemption and grace. That is a ugly world to live in.
We don't disagree with you.
Okay.
I'm just telling you that I don't have space right now to worry about that person. I'm worried
fair.
about the victim.
That's fair. That's completely fair. But is there, at what point? How do you bring a person to the table? Because you got to correct the behavior.
Well, you wanted to talk about that a bit at the beginning, and I wouldn't let you. But now is a good time, right? Because we're going to bring this to a close, and we should address it. Like, I think we've dealt with the outrage. We've dealt with the fact that this is unacceptable. I think we've dealt with the fact that this is so far-reaching, and just because he got quote unquote caught doesn't mean it doesn't happen every day in this country and in the profession of law.
Well, and doesn't happen in ways. I mean, people like that do this. I know people like to do that in situations that are private enough that they can't be accused of anything afterwards. They do. They consciously make choices to be that hateful. And that's my problem with it. And that's where I have a problem with saying that there needs to be grace. Like, you're definitely better than me because I only believe in the punishment.
Wait a minute, guys.
I believe in grace also, but I don't believe in just like wiping the slate clean. I believe that there has that to have growth, there has to be acknowledgement.
Yes.
Okay.
And from what I can see, what the judge has said is there has been no acknowledgement.
And like Mo said, until there is.
Yeah.
Without that, there's no moving forward.
The judge wrote that. You read that.
I did.
That there's a lot of excuses. There's a lot of blaming of the other person. There's no actual acknowledgement that this was inappropriate. I should not have done that, at least not in the order.
I think redemption and grace, by the way, serves as much the person who has been victimized.
Oh, I agree.
It's about them. It's a process that allows them to get their power back. And says, like, this is my, and forgiveness. Forgiveness is all about the person, is the power to forgive, is incredible power. But for it's got to be controlled by the person who has suffered. It's got to be controlled by the person who has endured to say, I will, but there has to be support for that. There has to be a process for that.
This is too big of a topic to talk about. We
have to come back.
And all that. But, the takeaway from this is not redemption and forgiveness and grace. The purpose of this discussion was to condemn the behavior. Let's make no bones about it. That was the purpose of the discussion. I wanted us to sit in it. We can always do another episode on these kind of things, or this one. I'm sure we'll get
I think we
some
might
feedback.
Need to.
But I wanted to look at the behavior and for us to say this is inappropriate because it's inappropriate. We also wanted to say, as Mike pointed out and you pointed out, if you are the victim of discrimination in this venue, as a trial lawyer or anybody in the profession of plaintiff law, we are not above discriminating as plaintiff lawyers. We are not better than the rest of society. We are just as foul in some ways as the rest of society. If you are the victim of that type of behavior, do not hold it in yourself alone. It will eat at you.
Yes. Share it.
Get it out of you.
Yes.
As fast as you can to whoever you can.
Yeah. Well, and I would say use your network of, other attorneys that you know. If you don't have, like, if you're a solo practitioner and you're getting attacked like that scenario that we put out, have other people that you can talk to and try to make sure that you're not the only person that knows what's going on, because that gives the aggressor more power.
And if you're a man and you witness another man behave this way, you have to step up and be an ally. You have to be an ally. You can't just sit quiet and just say, eh. You have to step up and say, hey, don't talk like that.
Yeah.
That's inappropriate. Like, that's disrespectful. And just be and draw boundaries and don't be afraid.
Yeah.
But I'm really proud of all
I just want to if you are a human being, be an ally.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I was just
I don't
talking
care.
about in the context of this.
No
This is
matter
my
what
role.
no matter what your gender,
Yeah.
Yeah, be an ally. Be an ally.
do not if you see someone else doing that, do not just sit by and watch it happen.
Yeah. Don't it this type of behavior isn't solely male, I would say. And
It isn't. I just told you.
Yeah. So if that's the case, you should be making a statement about it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not, we are only focusing on gender here.
Yes.
But this happens for all otherism attack.
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we end, can we say something that's positive other than negative, or should we just be super negative about it?
Oh, we
Let's
can
just
say
be super
something.
negative.
I mean, the positive part is that
I'm going to
the-
be negative.
the-
I think that most comment about Grace is kind of positive.
I can't take it right now.
You-
Listen. If you are a misogynist person, just keep it to yourself. Okay, that's my final word.
Okay.
Wait, no more grace, no more redemption, no more forgiveness. Fine.
Okay. Bye.